Shalom, shalom, family, and welcome once again to the Uziel Lewy channel, or to the D.C.B channel. Sorry about that. My name is Uziel Lewy. I'm one of the teachers at Congregation BINAH BINAH, which is Beit D.C.B. We also know it as Beit D.C.B. Thanking the supreme intelligence of the universe for all things and everything. Food, clothing, and shelter, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And I'm grateful to this great King for my life, the life of Beit Yisrael scattered in the four corners of the earth, the life of all of us who call upon his name. I know I'm thankful to this great King for all that he does for us. We almost say hallelujah. I'm thankful to the creator of heaven and earth for my life, food, clothing, and shelter, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and all the things that he does for us. I'm hoping that everybody's getting this. Give me a chance to just check, make sure that everything is running smoothly and that we're having no issues. Because sometimes with my Bane, he switches up settings, and before you know it, be in trouble. So let's see what he has going on here. See what we got going on here. This works a little bit better. Hopefully it works out a little bit better. Hopefully the stream is a little bit smoother. Okay, here we go. Everybody refresh your pages on YouTube. Just refresh your pages. I think it's a little bit better on YouTube now. Just refresh your pages. All right. It's always my bane, my osier, changing up some settings or something on the stream. How y'all like my new fancy podcasting looking thing up here? How does the sound? How does it sound? How is the sound on the microphone? How clear is it coming through on your speakers? Talk to me. Let me know if this is an improvement from before. Do I sound clearer? Just let me know. Speak to me. I'm thanking the Most High God for all things and everything, life, food, clothing, and shelter, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Thanking the Most High God for all of you who join me every week, who join us every week. Thank you, Yah, for Julie Figueira, Kaskuya Bat Yisrael, Gever Kaskuya, TLH Photography, Basheba Yisrael, Ima Havared, Yisrael, Marsha Yisrael, Tamika Yevra, and everyone else. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being there with us. That's what simulcasting also on Facebook, Live. But Facebook Live, you're not getting this great sound that we got right here on YouTube. So in order to get this great new warm sound, this new kind of like podcasting type of sound, you have to go to the YouTube link in order to get this beautiful sound. So thanking everyone out there for joining us, for being with us, for sharing this Shabbat evening with us. And the Shabbat day, you reflect on the Shabbat day, and it's a beautiful day to reflect, because we get to really relax. If we're doing the Shabbat in the right manner, we really, really, really get to relax, and we get to be with family. We get to understand everything that's happening with family, and it's really a time to reflect back on the week. So thanking the Creator for all things and everything. Thanking the Creator for Nasira, Yisrael, Daffy J. Shabbat Shalom to you. Sharitha Bell. Shabbat Shalom to you. Edna Pete, Sister Edna. Shabbat Shalom to you. Hallelujah. I think the backdrop is, if I move over a little, let me see. I know it's New York City. You can't see it, but that's like the FDR Drive. And I believe that bridge right there could be, what comes first, the Manhattan Bridge or the Williamsburg Bridge? That bridge could be the Manhattan Bridge. And then the buildings that you see, let me see. That building that you see, not that one with the needle, but all the way in the far, all the way almost like at the end back here. Not that one, this one right here. Hold on. This is funny. That one right there. I think that's the Empire State Building. I believe so. That's what it looks like. And I believe this is the FDR. I'm trying to think what other buildings are that tall. Well, this is Maozia. Maozia took this picture, so. Oh, what this could be is, I'm trying to think, but there is no bridge on the west side. No, that's not the west side. That's the east side. Oh, well, it's the landscape of New York City, I believe. At least that's what Maozia told me, that's New York City. So all I could do is take his word for it. Gershon Big Yisrael, Shabbat Shalom to you, my brother. I look like a Hebrew newscaster. Torah Ima. Basheba Yisrael, background looks fresh. Audio and video good to go. Bless the mighty Yah. Love and respect to my brothers and sisters. Daffy J, this looks and sounds amazing. Laila Tov, Chief. Laila Tov Nazira. Shabbat Shalom, True Lion. Hannah Lewy, Shabbat Shalom, Princess Hannah. Very nice setup. Thank you. You know, I always try to improve, try to stay ahead, try to do certain things to make your listening and your visual pleasure to be the best. It's about improvement. So I'm thankful for that I'm able to. I think that y'all should be thankful to Maozia because he's like obsessed with stuff. And he's the one that really got me set up like a studio setting with lights. You can't see it, but they're like lights. A really nice camera that's taking everything in HD. He's still obsessed with, this is family talk, so we could talk. You know the beginning of Shabbat where the last couple of weeks has been freezing and has been like sticking and buffering, and you could hear the audio, but the video is not that great. This kid is like trying to really like push the streaming to the limits. He's trying to get like 4K almost, right? And I'm trying to tell him that in order to get that high of a resolution, you got to have, we have the 4K camera, but yeah, we have an intro, but we've been neglecting on playing our intro. Let me play the intro for Daffy J so she knows that we have an intro. This is our intro.
By the rivers of Babylon, yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying.
So you see, that's our intro right there. I thought you knew we had an intro. What happens is, the reality is that Shabbat, we start late. See, while we're starting late on Shabbat, a lot of times is, like we start 10 minutes late. What happens is that we have breakfast in the morning with the family. That starts at 10:30. So, you know, that's not realistic. People are coming in between 10:30 to 11 o'clock, coming last minute, and people begin to talk, and people are still eating breakfast. Is a great time. So what we probably going to have to end up doing is pushing it back a little bit more so that we could start on time. And what happens is we get caught up. We have to set up certain things. But when we come, then we got to eat breakfast, and then you start talking, and we just have to do a better job of that. So that's what happens with us. Rose of Sharon, Lily of the Valleys, Shabbat Shalom. That's the longest screen YouTube name that I've seen. It's great to see the hard work and progression. All praise to the Most High, Torah YAH. And Kawa, Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, like I was saying, you know, it's like this kid is obsessed with the studio. So I try to, you know, help him along. The congregation, as far as what you guys help us with, we try to invest it back into everything that we do and try to improve even with what we have. So yeah, with him, what happens is he tries to push it, and then I have to kind of come over and supervise and be like, no, we're not ready for that. It's not showing good. And, you know, I have to constantly tell him, like, when we're streaming, we have to be sure, because I really don't take care of the streaming I only come in when it's time to troubleshoot, and I really have to tell them, like, listen, you can't be experimenting during the middle of services. Like, he likes to experiment. Sometimes I'm sure you guys see, like if you're looking on a big TV, or you're looking on your let's say like a good sized monitor of your computer, you will see the colors start to change. Like, I don't know if you ever noticed that, like, colors start changing. It gets darker, it gets lighter, and all these things. He's like trying to adjust colors as things are happening. And I told him, you can't do that. Like, people are looking for an experience when they're watching the services, you know. But he's a great kid. He drives me crazy sometimes. And I mean, drives me crazy in a good way, because he's not a bad kid per se like that. But he drives me crazy because he actually knows probably a lot more about the technical part of certain parts of this thing, you know. But I try to stay on top of it, and he helps me out. So I can't complain. You know, I put a lot of pressure on him, and he comes through for me. So Torah YAH for him. Shabbat Shalom, servant of Yahweh, brother Yael Ezra Ben Lewi and Sarah Navia Lewi. Shabbat Shalom to you guys. And I'm also thankful to Ima Havared for being the moderator on the channel. Without her, a lot of the stuff that, you know, with the disturbances and the people that come on to disrupt our service wouldn't be taken care of, because I most of the times I'm not looking at the chat, and she gets on me because sometimes I'm not looking at the chat. I feel like you got it, but sometimes you guys have questions and I don't get a chance to, she texts me and be like, somebody has a question on the chat. And, that's what happens sometimes. So, but I'm thankful to her also for keeping the chat in line, for keeping everyone focused, weeding out all the bad characters and keeping us in the sense of the Torah and the Shabbat. Everybody plays a part, just like we play a part when it comes to teachings and doing all those things. Everybody else, the moderators, the technical people, the drummers, everybody play a part. So thank you, Ima, for allowing us to have a peaceful Shabbat, because there was a point where there's a point where we used to have a lot of ruckus in the chat, but that's been cut down, and she's no nonsense. She keep you in line real quick, so that's a good thing. We need people like that, and it's still a good conversation. And if it veers off too much, she's like, all right, it's the Shabbat day. So I love her for that. Robert Jackson IV, Shabbat Shalom. Yes, great job, Maozia. He's out right now. He's sleeping, so he went to sleep like at 6:30. So hopefully he could sleep through the whole night and not wake up in the middle of the night, waking me up, trying to get me to talk to him about something. Clint Ogle, Shabbat Shalom. So, as you can see, I don't know if you guys caught it yesterday, but when you get a chance, you could get, that's the lioness, that feature. Oh, Chief, I've been passing and taking pictures of locations for rent. Where can I send those pics to you? All right, you could send it to info@baitdcb.org, info@baitdcb.org. Let me write it up here, info@baitdcb.org. You could send them to me there, and you could address it to me, and it will get to me, all right? So as soon as you send it, I receive it. So that's where you could send your information, your questions, and all that sort of stuff. Oh, my bad. My brother, but that's the name that I see up there. I know maybe I shouldn't have put the 4th. My bad, my brother, my bad. She's over there laughing. Robert Jackson the 4th. Shalom, shalom. Tell her that I said stop making fun of you and stop laughing. That's not right. That's not right. Eshet Robert, that's not right. Let me see. Shalom, what is conversion within the Israelite community, and is there such a thing? All right. So here we go. Conversion is basically I want to get this right because I don't want to mess it up, all right? I want to say it right. So, and for those of you that might know better than me, you could chime in and you could talk to me about that. Within the Israelite community, conversion is not necessary because you can't convert to something that you already are. I believe that the conversion thing comes from, and I could be mistaken, but I believe it comes from like a Talmudic tradition to where you have to go take and I hope I'm saying it right. So, a bath. I know you have to go take a dip, right? If you're a male, in some instances, and with some sets of Jewish people, that they have to I'm going to try to get to all these questions. So some people do a drawing of the blood in the private area, even if you're circumcised. And this is in Jewish tradition. As Israelites, we don't have to convert to something that we already are. You know, what we have to do is enter into the covenant. So if we're not circumcised, we tell everyone that they must get circumcised to be in the covenant. So conversion is not something that we do. Even when you go back as far as Rabbi Matthew, although he was in what they would say a quote unquote black Jew, but a lot of those brothers were calling themselves Israelites, right? But during those times, they were being recognized as black Jews, right? And even in the prophecy, it said that, you know, some will surname and call themselves Jake. Let me go there, see if I can find it. I think it's Isaiah chapter 43, if I'm not mistaken. So these elders, they used to call themselves Israelites. And when I go around quote unquote black Jews, they always address themselves as Israel. They never call themselves black Jews. I think sometimes when they are in the public, they tend to use the Jewish or use the word Jewish or the Jewish faith or whatever. But whenever I'm around our brothers and sisters in a setting, they never really use the word Jewish. They always use Israel. So let me see here. It got to be chapter 42 then. And this is what we were taught. I'm Yehovah, that is my name, Kedar. Let them. No. See, I'm not good at remembering chapters off the top of my head. Never was good at that. All right, it's one of these chapters, so I know it's somewhere in Isaiah. And probably somebody putting it. I know somebody's putting it up in the chat by now, but I can't find it. Maybe I got to go down like to 41, 40. I'll find it. All right, Isaiah 44, verse 5. Thank you. I'm scrolling through the Tanakh and right. So when we look at Isaiah chapter 44, the prophet Isaiah speaking about he's prophesying and speaking about Jacob and Israel. You know, Jacob is Israel. So when it's speaking about Jacob and speaking about Israel, it's speaking about the same people or the same nation, right? Speaking about the nation of Israel and speaking about them in the singular. So it says, Yet now hear, O Yaakov, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. So we are the chosen of the Creator of heaven and earth. This is replete throughout the Tanakh, throughout the Torah, that we are the chosen people of God, right? Not a not a people that come from Europe. The chosen people of God are African Asian people, right? And it does not involve a European people. That's impossible. I mean, God's people come out of the East and migrated into Africa. It's as simple as that. Thus saith Yahweh that made thee and formed thee from the womb. Now he's speaking to us through the prophet Isaiah, that he made us and formed us through the womb, because our conception was as a nation was in Egypt. We're going through that right now. We're going through the portion of Shemot, right? And through the portion Shemot, we see the birth of the nation when the 70 souls went down into Egypt, and from there they were constructed and they were built to be a nation. Some of the scholars said we went in there 70 souls and we came out over 2 million people. That's just an estimate. They really don't know how many people came out, but it's an estimate that it was about 2 million people that came out of there. So the Most High God formed us from the womb, which was the iron furnace, which was Egypt, right? Who will help thee? Who will help us? No one helps us except the Creator of heaven and earth. Fear not, O Yaakov, my servant, thou Yeshurun, whom I have chosen. So all these names, Yaakov, Yeshurun, these are all the names that the Most High God have for the nation of Israel. So don't be confused when he's beginning to speak and say all these names, right? And all these different names, because he's still talking about Israel. It says, for I will pour water upon the thirsty land and streams upon the dry ground. I'll pour my spirit upon thy seed and my blessing upon thine offspring. So Yah is the one who could pour water upon the thirsty land, upon a dry and arid land, upon a land that no longer has hope. When you go to the desert land and it's sand, that sand at one point used to be earth, and it used to be greenery and flowers and vegetation, and all these things grew out of it. But at some point it became desert land, right? So the Most High God said he could take that desert land, right, and make it fertile again, right? Make it viable again. He said, and streams upon dry ground, right? It's like I see in the video the other day, there was it rained in the desert, and the desert was flooded with water. God is the one that could make that happen. Yehovah, he's the one that could make that happen. It says, I will pour my spirit upon thy seed and my blessing upon thy offspring. So today, us as a people who are downtrodden and destitute, us as a people who didn't have knowledge of ourselves just yesterday. Some of you didn't have knowledge of yourself last year during this time. Some of you were hanging out on Friday nights last year during this time, or 2 years ago, 3 years ago. The Most High God has caused you to be blessed, right? He has poured his spirit upon us and upon our seed, upon our generation, and my blessing upon thy offspring. Says, and they shall spring up among the grass as willows by the water courses. So we spring up amongst the grass as willows by the water courses. So you know what that means? The willows don't come out so often. Willows is looked at as weeds today, right? But they stand out, and they stand taller than all the other blades of grass. So that's how we stand out. That's why we have that aura about us when we go to work and we're dealing in righteousness, and when we do things the way that they're supposed to be done, that the people look at us and be like, there's something different about you. You have a certain glow about you, sister. You have a certain thing about you, brother. I don't know what it is, but there's something that you have. You know, I can't put my finger on it, but there is something that you have. You know, so those are the things. And then it says here, one shall say, I am Yahweh's. So from the beginning of the turn of the last century, right? And we're celebrating 100 years this year, and this is important. No matter what segment of Israel you come from, we all come from that tree, like I said last time. We come from that tree, that Rabbi Matthew Commandment Keepers tree, whether we want to accept it or not, because we all are part of that tree. We are branches off that tree, right? So it says, one shall say, I am Yahweh. So back then, the people used to call themselves servants of the Most High God. Back then, even during the Garvey movement, they were Garveyites. Rabbi Matthew and all the different rabbis, Rabbi Ford, these were all Garveyites, the Paris family, and these are all prevalent names that were part of the movement, of the starting movement, that we have to begin to acknowledge, because this is part of our history. Just the other day, I went to I was on almost is upstairs drumming, and he's driving me crazy, but I was on blackjews.org. Very good website if you want to get information on our history. You know, they preserve some of our history, right? And I think it's very important. I was on blackjews.org, and I was researching Rabbi Yirmiyahu, which was, at first he was Rabbi Wilkins. He came out of the school that Rabbi Matthew formed, which was Commandment Keepers, and his family went there. I believe Rabbi Wilkins went there as a child because his mother attended the place. And Commandment Keepers was created in 1919 in Harlem, New York, right? And so I was reading up on Rabbi Yirmiyahu because that's the branch of the tree that I come from, right? Rabbi Yirmiyahu, apart, because in reality, the people that originated from Shema Yisrael come from two branches, right? They come from Cohen Levy, which is the connection from Prince Zippor, and then one of the main branches we come from is from Nasi Yaakov. Nasi Yaakov came from Cincinnati, Ohio, with knowledge of self already. Now, we don't know who was his teacher. It was never revealed to us who was his teacher, but he came to New York City with knowledge of self from Cincinnati, Ohio. That's where he's originally from, right? And then he began to go to a place called, I want to get it right because Gareth Sarita, if she's listening, she's going to correct me. But I believe the place was called Temple Tabernacle, something like that. So Temple Tabernacle was more of a place of, like, they were of high praise. They sung, they danced, they did a lot of these things. So Nasi Yaakov went there first. That's where Nasi Yaakov, the late Nasi Yaakov, met the late Nabi Raphael. Raphael Tate, which they used to call him the prophet. Nabi means prophet, right? So Nabi Raphael and Nasi Yaakov, and I forget the other few men that originally formed Ben Ezra King, which you hear so much about this place called Ben Ezra King. Nasi Yaakov and Rabbi Tate, or Nabi Raphael, They later split sometime in the 70s. In the 70s, they split because of ideologies, and then Nasi Yaakov became the sole leader of Benezaking. And at that point, then he went back to Chicago, made an alliance with a group out there, and then incorporated some of the things that he learned from that into what we knew as Benezaking in the late 60s and early 70s, and through the 70s in New York City. So Nasi Yaakov wouldn't claim to come from the tree of Rabbi Matthew, but we still don't know who was his teacher, right? So that might have came by way of that, but we haven't made that connection, or I don't know that connection. But for certain, the connection of Rabbi Yirmiyahu, which come from one of my teachers, which is Prince Paul will come from that branch, right? So it was Rabbi Matthew, Rabbi Yirmiyahu, who created two congregations, the first one being Koho Yisrael, and the second being later became what we know today as Beni Adat Kobe Yisrael, which in 2017 had a fire, and those brothers and sisters are still trying to rebuild that huge space. All right, so Rabbi Yirmiyahu built Beni Adat Kobe Yisrael on Patchen Avenue in Brooklyn, New York, Patchen and Green, on the corner of Patchen and Green. And from there, you get More Yosef and Cohen Levy, right? They join Rabbi Matthews. No, not Rabbi Matthew, Rabbi Yirmiyahu's place, Bnei Adat. And from there, they had some differences in ideologies. Cohen Levy had differences in ideology. He wanted to move away from more of the halakhic tradition. Now, this is stuff that I'm getting from people that were there. This is not stuff that I'm making up. Rabbi Yirmiyahu, being how he was like, look, if you don't like what I'm doing, basically you're free to go. You know what I mean? You can hit the door, Jack. So after that, it was Cohen Levy left, him and More Yosef. They left together. And after that, then More Yosef and Cohen Levy, they left Bnei Adat, and after that, they went their own separate ways. So More Yosef created the congregation called Kol She'arit in the Bronx, New York, and Cohen Levy created Hashaba Yisrael, which was located in Brooklyn, New York. Had several locations, but I think the place that's known, or that was the most popular, was on Belmont Avenue in I believe that's the Brownsville section of Brooklyn, New York. So that's the brand, and from there, from Hashaba Yisrael come in like our contemporary teachers that we had today, More Mishal, Cohen Mikael, Prince Paul. Those are the contemporary teachers. So they all come from that branch, from Rabbi Matthew, Rabbi Yirmiyahu. Then you get Cohen Levy, More Yosef, which went off to a different branch. But I'm going down my lineage, so I had to study that. And from Prince Paul, you get a bunch of a lot of the people that you see now, right? And that's from Prince Paul, and from the Nasi Yaakov line, right? From the Nasi Yaakov line, you get like the Prince Rishadaz, you get the Chief Elazar, Chief Amos, may the Most High God bless his memory. You get the Chief of Chiefs, and Chief of Chiefs is coming twofold because he's from also a elder that also passed away that they used to call read the book Daniel, the chief counselor, right? He was the chief counselor of Nasi Yaakov back in the 60s. That's why they called him the chief counsel, Daniel. So these are all the different branches and all the different tentacles that we come from, and this is the stuff. So there was, getting back to the main question, and I know I went off on a tangent, but check that website out, blackjews.org. Don't be frightened by the name. Just go check it out. There's a lot of good information about all these great men that came about. I believe there's an extensive article about Corn Levy in there also. There's a lot of things going on. Somebody, Robert asks if we have the tree written down. We have a picture with the tree, but also even better, if you go to blackjews.org, all the information is up there, right? Rabbi Shalom, whom I've had the pleasure of having on this show on a couple of occasions, has gone through the history. We also have, if you look on my Uzi Alewi channel, we have, I have a video entitled The History of Israelites in America, right? And Rabbi Shalomo is a professor, and I believe he's a professor of history, and he curated a lot of stuff and put it in the Schomburg Museum in Harlem, New York, documenting the history of Israelites from the turn of the last century all the way to this part, to this time. He also was integral in the museum in Washington, D.C., the new African American Museum. He was part of also putting Israelite. I believe that he was one of the main people that was able to put either him or Rabbi Fune, I'm not sure, but in that new museum, there's Israelite history there, right? So if you go to that museum, there's an exhibit or there's a small part that shows also Israelite history. So the history is rich. A lot of the things that we're doing are rich, and we just have to follow up and be on top of the history and understand what is it and who is it that created all these things. So we come from all those different branches, right? We come from all those different parts, and we have to be grateful to that. So back then, getting back to the point, and I'm off on a tangent, but it's okay because we talking. It says, one shall say, I am Yehovah. So back then, they used to walk around with suits and ties, and some will carry they talis and they briefcase. They wouldn't walk around with any symbols to show, because back then there was a lot of things and stigmas that went with certain things. So, people carried themselves a certain way. Then it says, and another shall call himself by the name of Yaakov. Then you start calling yourself by the name of Yaakov. They used to call themselves Jacobites, right? We Jacobites. And another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yehovah and surname himself by the name of Yisrael. So it was a progression. We went from we follow something different to now we came out of it all and we said, we don't think we Israel. We're not black Jews, because if there's a black Jew, then there's a Caucasian one, and it's impossible for a Caucasian to be a Jew, to be a true Jew. So no, we are Israel, and we taking claim to it, and that's the point that we're at right now. We're Israel, right? And so getting back to the original point, when it comes to conversion, that's not necessary for us because we are already Israel. And what we have to do is we have to reclaim our name and put on our cape and understand who we are. But one thing that is a must is that we must be circumcised to enter the covenant. That is a specific rule, and you're never too old to be circumcised, all right? I've heard of people in their 70s, people in their 40s, whatever it is, being circumcised. When I first came into this way of life, I was 13. By the time I was 15, 16, I went and got circumcised because it was important for me to be circumcised so I could be in the covenant. And I'm not ashamed to share that because I come from a country, I was born in a country where circumcisions were not something that was, the doctors didn't do it. Like in the United States, that's like an option. And I believe that for most part, they circumcise the babies. But in certain quote unquote Christian Catholic countries, it's not a must. But in order for us to be in a covenant with the Most High, we have to be circumcised. So that is the only requirement. And I know I took like a half hour to explain that, my brother Yael, but I wanted to be thorough in my explanation. All right, so I hope I didn't take too long with that. So there's no such thing in our community. Not in our true Israelite community, no conversion process. We just understand that we are the children of Israel, understanding Torah. Nobody could convert you into something that you already are. You get what I'm saying? So that's the way we look at it. Let me see. Brother Robert, how do we decide or find Hebrew names? All right, so what some people do, some people might look up the meaning of their name, right? For, like, let's say your name Robert, right? Probably has a meaning. This is what some people do. Not everyone does this, but let's say, what is the meaning of the name Robert? Right, so all right, from the Germanic name Horodebert, meaning bright fame, right? That's what your name means, bright fame. Derived from Germanic elements Erod, fame, and Berat, bright. So some people might look at that and then look in the Hebrew and find something comparable. And then some people don't go that way at all. You know, they disassociate with the name that was given to them at birth. And then what happens is they just find something that fits their character, right? They find something that they feel fits them. And then that's what they go with, right? So whatever it is, you know, that's what they go with. It's like, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Like, they just get a feeling or spirit with a name. Like, this describes me, right? This describes me. So, like when I chose my name, Uziel, I chose this in the early 90s because it described me. You know, my strength is God. God is my strength. You know what I'm saying? So it just, I felt that name. It was like part of me, right? So, that was just that, you know. And if you're looking for a name, you know, there's several ways you could go about it. You know, some people, you know, are fortunate enough to have a Hebrew name. Like most people that are named Michael, or they call Michael, is Mikael. You know what I'm saying? Michael is Mikael. You don't have to change it. You just pronounce it different. Oh, Michael. No, my name is Mikael. That's what Michael is. You got, you know, some women that are that are named that already have Hebrew names, you know, Raquel, Rebecca, whatever. They already come with the names, so there's no need for them to change it. But I've seen that some people even change those names. Even when they come with Hebrew names, they change it. So I've seen that also. Shalom, shalom, says Havared. Great to see you. How are you over there? All right. Do we have the tree in history written down? Like I said, blackjews.org. You will get a lot of the information. Yes. Let me see. The museum is great. Let me see. All right. That brings me to the question, do you let the hospital circumcise your son, or is there a ceremony? All right. So here in New York City, because we have the people that could circumcise, that know how to circumcise, most of the times there's a brother or a sister, there's several people that know how to do it. We call them, said the baby was born on this day. I need you on so-and-so night. We have a ceremony. Basically, how the circumcision ceremony goes is like this. The person who's going to circumcise comes with the instruments, with some scissors, surgical instruments. And these are people that have well over 20 years of experience. I believe some of them over 30. And some that they're training that are just starting that could do it also. I've been to many circumcision ceremonies. So what happens is we come in, everybody comes in, all friends, family, there's food, there's a festive atmosphere, The mother at this point, she's still, getting over childbirth because it's only 8 days later, but she's there, she's present. It's usually at someone's house. On somebody's table, the child usually gets circumcised like on the dinner table. They just put sheets and stuff on top of it, and just trying to paint you a picture. Everybody is around the table, and usually you get your. Usually they will ask the father. The father and maybe like his best friend or someone that, whoever the father chooses, most likely your best friend or your brother, the baby's uncle to hold. So you have the baby. So let's say this is the baby, right? This is the baby I'm trying to show, right? You got the baby on the table, and on one side of the table, you got to hold the baby's arm and one leg, right? Without putting too much pressure on it, but pinning it down to where you're not cutting circulation. And on the other side, whoever's helping the father is holding the other arm and the other leg. So basically, you're spreading the baby legs apart so that the person who's doing the circumcising could get in there, cut, do what they have to do. We recite the part in the Tanakh where it speaks about circumcision, Genesis 17, about all males shall be circumcised. So then after we finish reciting that, then we begin to sing the Shema. And we sing the Shema throughout the whole time, continuously, until the circumcision is done. The wound is wrapped, put some golden seal and some vaxatracin or some some Vaseline, wrap it around, and then the bandage has to be, the person who's doing the circumcising is just tells the mother how to dress it and, to be careful so that it doesn't get infected. All right? The wound doesn't get infected. This has been going on for years. And fortunate in New York City, we have that option. You could call someone and they'll be done. Also, I've heard, and because we live in New York City, there's such a large there's such a large community of give me 1 second. Like I said, when we was so when we do that, right, in New York City, we have you know, I've known people that call a moel, right? That's what it's called, right? A person who practices what they call the covenant of circumcision, or Brit Milah, as they say in the, you know, in quote unquote Jewish tradition. But you call one of those guys and they come, they don't even go through the whole ceremony part where the baby is crying and screaming. They have this tool, they just pull the foreskin clamp, click, cut it. I mean, they tell you to sing a Shema or whatever, but their process is a little bit faster. You know, but we have more of a surgical process that we go through to get the children into the covenant. So either way, you still get the children into the covenant. As far as if you're living in a place where you might not have that availability, or you can't get somebody in to do it on the 8th day, or whatever it might be, then get the child. The way we were taught is get the child circumcised to be in the covenant, right? Because the child has to be circumcised. So if you cannot get the child circumcised on the 8th day, get the child circumcised anyhow, so that the child could be in the covenant. And that's basically what is it that that you need to do so that the child could be in the covenant. All right. So I hope that has answered your question. What would Yah is my light be? To all the Hebrew experts, so I know light is orah, right? Light is orah. Oriya, something like that. Oriya. I could be wrong, but because Yah is my light. So to make it my, it will be possessive. So it will be like a re or re. I don't even know if that's a real word, but if Moradina is out there and she's listening to my Hebrew, maybe you could correct me. Oriya. I don't know if Oriya will be a name to make it possessive. But whoever's out there that knows Hebrew, please help brother Robert out with that interpretation. So Ori, I don't know if Oriya will be appropriate, but please help the brother out. I'm not a Hebrew expert, so I know certain things, but I don't know everything. And let me see, that maybe it might be a name. Let me see. Sometimes people make those names, and there's a root to it. Yeah, a submission from Israel says that the name Oriya means light of God. So, light of God, or they put God, but it's Yah, because the YH is at the end. Light of Yah, right? Light of Yah. Oh, Yah is my light. It'll be more appropriate. Yah is my light. So, maybe you could go with that. Oriya sounds good to me. And it'll be spelled Oriyah, Oriya. All right. Clean Ogle, where is the Bible say you must? I know I have to buy my children. Mother say she needs facts before she allow me to be because she is of Christian belief. Where in the Bible say you must circumcise? Oh, are you talking about circumcision? All right, let's go to Genesis chapter 17. Go to Genesis chapter 17. Listen, everything comes with time. I know a lot of these things sound like they are foreign because they weren't taught to us, right? Because what happens when you get to Galatians 5, Paul tells us that circumcision is of no avail, right? If you're circumcised, you are debtor to do the law, right? But they encourage us not to be circumcised so that we don't fall under the yoke and the bondage of the old. That was the whole fact, and that was the whole thing for us not to be circumcised. But God said that these laws, statutes, and commandments are for us to do them and for us to follow them and for us to live in them, which is most important, right? So it says here, Genesis chapter 17, verse 1, when Avram was 90 years old and 9, Yahweh appeared to Avram and said unto him, I am God Almighty. He told him, I am Ani El Shaddai, right? Believe that's what he said. Yahweh El Avram says, Wayomer Alau Ani El Shaddai. I knew it said that. Walk before me and be wholehearted. Be perfect. Be wholehearted before me. This is what God is telling Avram. Verse 2, and I'll make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Avram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be the father of a multitude of nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Avram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for the father of a multitude of nations have I made thee. So the Most High God changed the name of Avram to Abraham, and he's going to be a father of multitude of nations. So what he means by that is all the sons that Keturah had became nations. Esau, which is out of Abraham, became a nation, and so forth and so on. All the children of Ishmael became nations, right? The Ishmaelites, all them Arab nations are all children of Abraham. So it says, verse 6, and I'll make thee exceedingly great, fruitful, and I'll make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I'll establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant, right? So God said he will establish an everlasting covenant with us, to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. So that's speaking to us, even to this generation, to thee and thy seed after this. So this is a covenant that transcends generations, that goes from generation to generation to generation. It's not just for Abraham and the people that are there with him at that time. This is that covenant or disagreement. Verse 8, and I'll give thee and to thy seed after thee the land of thy sojournings, and the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I'll be their God. And God said unto Abraham, as for thee, thou shalt keep my covenant, thou and thy seed after thee throughout your generations. Throughout your generations. So that covers us. Because we said we are the children of Abraham. Am I right or wrong? So we are the children of Abraham. We fall under this covenant. And it says, and ye shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. So this will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. So when each one of our males are circumcised on the 8th day, this now becomes the sign between us and God that we entered the covenant and that we acknowledge the covenant that Abraham made with God. And he said it should be throughout all your generations. You understand what I'm saying? So it says here, and he shall circumcise in the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of between. Verse 12, and he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every male throughout your generation, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any foreigner that is not of thy seed. Right? So everybody in your house should be circumcised. He that is born in thy house and he that is brought with thy money must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. So it is a command by God for us to be circumcised. And if we are uncircumcised, we have broken the covenant and we should be cut off. What cut off means, I don't know. But when we come in the knowledge of ourselves, we allotted that time, right? But we have to go do it. Because if we want to be in the covenant, we have to be circumcised, all right? So here we go. So I hope I did a good explanation, Clint Ogle, for you and for your children's mother. I'm looking through these comments. Chief, what brings those who can't be circumcised, i.e. women, into the covenant? I think that more so the way that the Most High God was looking at it is that the woman, and I want to be careful how I word this, because I believe that everyone is responsible for their own burden. But the covenant was made with the man because ultimately the man is the leader of the family, right? So, you know, the covenant is ultimately made with the man because of that. But women have a responsibility also of doing that which is right, and we find some very strong women within our Tanakh that held it down, that did things that saved the nation. Esther, as an example, and the book is replete with many other women that did things that saved the nation and that caused the nation to move forward. So our women are very important, and I don't want our women to feel left out in this. But the covenant was made with the males because we grow a force. I mean, we born with a foreskin, so I can't try to add to that or say anything, but women are in the covenant. Once you accept the Most High God, then you're in the covenant. You know, you are part of that movement. All right. Y'all got me working here tonight. Shabbat Shalom, Yemima. Good to see you. It was nice seeing you last week, you and your sister. It was nice seeing y'all come out last week. Torah YAH. Yvette, good to see you. Yeah, Yah Ori and Ori Yah. So I don't know if you like that. Sometimes people don't like the way their names sound in Hebrew, so they just scrap it all together and go with something different. But Ori Yah sounds good, and it's distinct. Not too many people have that. We have one of our mothers, Ima Ora. She has called in on this show on several occasions. Aura, you know, light. Let me see. Shema, obedience and faith for covenant circumcision. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Ima. No problem. Health issue also. Muslims practice circumcision. Does that make them part of the covenant? All those names. That's an interesting question. Does that make them part of the covenant? I mean, they are the seed of Abraham. So, to what extent it makes them part of the covenant? I think that the covenant went through. This covenant went through Isaac. That's a really good question. You know, I don't want to just give you an answer willy-nilly, but just to be safe, I would say it went through Isaac, but I can't say that I'm completely sure about that, because at the end of days it should be a house of prayer for all people. So if it's going to be a house of prayer for all people and they're already circumcised and they submit, and don't forget that their Quran tell them that they have to follow what the Torah says, right? So I don't know, you know, I don't know if they accept that Yahweh is God, then I don't see why the circumcision wouldn't, because it speaks about, even when it's telling Abraham, he say, even the servant that you buy come into your house, or whoever that's a stranger that comes into your house must be circumcised, right? So I guess so. I mean, that's a great part of it. Let me see here. Hallelujah, Sister Yamima. So, man, we spent a lot of time. I thought I had y'all made a lesson. I made a lesson out of y'all asking me questions. That turned out good. That turned out good. I know sometimes people have questions, and it's good. You know, it's good to engage the people, to answer your questions, and it's a blessing. You know what I mean? And it's a blessing. So I'm always here trying to answer the questions and do the things that y'all want me to do, even when I'm super tired. But I made this commitment, and I try to keep it, because I know, and you see the numbers are going up. We got, like, what I see here is like 100 people watching, right? And so that means that the Most High God is sending people. So my job and my duty is to enlighten people, you know, even if I'm tired. You know, it's a tireless job. You have to do it. So, but I'm just a reflection of all the teachers who put the resilience in me, and all the things that I need to do, you know. And I love doing my job. You know what I'm saying? I love doing my job, and until the Most High God takes the breath of life from me, or takes my mind, I hope that I'll be able to do this. So I'm thankful to the Most High God. Shalom, Kashum Levi, and Abishua Levi, Shabbat Shalom. Yes, if you are not circumcised, you would not have been able to partake of the Passover, the Passover ceremony, right? So it was a must. I mean, that within our nation, that was something that was practiced when Abraham circumcised everybody in his house. I believe when we went into the land, Also, Joshua circumcised the people, right? The young people. He circumcised the people that weren't circumcised. Moses almost got killed for not circumcising his 2 sons. The Most High almost took him out of here, even as he was going back to Egypt to deliver God's people out of there. But God doesn't have respect of person. And that's what we see when God does not have respect of person. He will kill you because he does not care what you feel. He only cares about what he told us to do and what we must do, right? So those are the things that we see. So I'm thankful to the Creator. I'm thankful to the Creator for that. I guess, hey, when y'all get a chance, go check out that Uzi Lewy channel, right? On YouTube. I'm gonna try to start something there on Sundays and during the week to get that channel kind of going. I did something on the contradictions within the New Testament yesterday, and I think it turned out pretty good. Shabbat Shalom. Is okay for an Israelite to attend an Ashkenazi shul if there is no Israelite shul in your area? That's always been a question and a contention. And I don't want to misguide anyone, all right? So I'll just say this. There have been Israelites that have attended Ashkenazi shuls, right? But those are brothers that are well-grounded in Torah and in understanding. I've heard that of brothers that travel, and if they need a place to go worship, they'll walk into one of those places, right? And come out perfectly fine. The problem is, will you be accepted into a place like that? That's the problem. You understand what I'm saying? So that will be a decision that I would say will be left up to the individual as to how strong they are and how they're going to be treated when they enter that place. You get what I'm saying? So I wouldn't put it's the end of your life if you go in there, but you have to be careful and you have to watch out maybe for the treatment that you might get. And that's that, you know. But you have to be well grounded in Torah and understand some of the things. Hallelujah. Adon Moshe's wife, Zipporah, that's right. How do you figure what tribe you're from? Very interesting question and very good question. All right. Truly and really, we don't know what tribes we're from, right? That's the reality. We claim Lewi, Judah, Simeon, Asher, Zavulun, Reuben. I gotta start out by being honest, and all these brothers, including myself, everybody who has claimed a tribe don't really know what tribe they're from. Unless you are from that who's those people down in Africa that was proven that their DNA was that of the priestly line. Unless you from that tribe and you could tell that who was that? That's the Igbo, right? The Igbo people. The Igbo people. None of us know. You gave me a new name. Sarli Adon Uziel gave you a new name. All right. Told that. So the Lemba tribe, right? I should know this stuff, but like I said, I don't be remembering everything off the top of my head like that. None of us know what tribe we're from. So today when we pick tribes, it's personality, the things that we do, the things that we're dedicated to. Most people who are push Torah, that are very studious and like the hard line of the Torah and pushing the Torah, they take on the personality of the Levites and the priests. So they call themselves Levi. I don't know who call themselves Judah. I don't know what they've looked for, why Judites choose Judah. I know what is people who pick the tribe Issachar are like hard workers, people who do a lot of manual work, because it says Issachar would be under his burden, right? So it'll be that type of stuff. And you also could look at like the blessings and that Jacob gave his children, right? What was that? Genesis 49, when Jacob was talking about his children. So those are things that you look into. Basheba Yisrael. I used to worship with them. So true at Chief Uziel, one has to be well learned in Torah or risk being led astray. Right. You got to understand exactly what is it that you're doing and understand certain things. Then, and be well versed. All right. Where can we find the trace of the tribes? Like I said, Genesis 49. And what's the other chapter? Somebody else give me the other chapter in there. When Jacob was about ready to die, and he started passing down and describing each one of his sons and what will be their fate. And let me see. Bathsheba, for Pesach Passover, they serve chicken, no lamb, no goat, as in Torah. Cain, I named you Uzziah in previous. Well, what's funny about that is Moreh Mishal, may the Most High God bless his memory, he never called me Uzziah. He always called me Uzzah. Always. So, but he was a Hebrew master, so that was his nickname for me. Uzzah. Right? So, and I was glad that he had a special name for me, that he called me. So may the Most High God bless his memory. He was a great man. I wish the DNA test would tell us what tribe we're from, but they don't go back past West Africa. Right. So just being thankful for this day. I hate to say goodbye, but it seemed like I answered all your questions. And I don't see any questions that I didn't answer. So, all praise it. Can you touch on Shabbat? Where do people get Friday and Saturday if those days are not in the Bible? Also, Moses was in the wilderness, so he followed the new moon. All right. I just went through a whole lesson about this a couple of weeks ago. All right, so the Shabbat day, when the Most High God created the heavens and the earth, there were no days of the week. There was the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, the seventh day. The seventh day was the only day that was given a name, which was the Shabbat day. And from there, right, is where we look at when we look at how heaven and earth were created, and how everything was put into place is how we get a Shabbat day, right? So from the beginning of time, there was a day of rest because God ceased from all that he was doing on the seventh day. So now, right, Imashir Yisrael. First day, second day, third day, fourth day, sixth. Right, I went through this. And when we look at those days, when the Most High God got to the seventh day, and he told us that this should be a day of rest. It said God stopped, he ceased from all the work that he was doing, and he said, this should be a day of rest to you, right? And we know that day as the Shabbat, right? With me, cease and stop. Just stop what you're doing, right? Why do we say, what was the other question? Where do people get Friday and Saturday if those days are not in the Bible? Oh, Friday and Saturday. All right, those names come from I just did this lesson, so let me try to reboot it back in my brain. All right, so the days of the week, or the days that we get for the week, even on the Gregorian calendar, the first day of the week is what we know as Sunday. So now the obvious is Sunday was the day of the worship of the sun, right? But in most Latin languages now, when we read it in English, what we're looking at is a Germanic interpretation of the names, right? So originally, when we look at the word, or in the Roman or in the Latin, for Sunday, it will be domingo, or like in Spanish, domingo, right? So domingo is, when you break down the literal meaning of domingo, right, is it means the day of the Lord, right? And why they call it the day of the Lord, because of, during Easter, that Jesus had died and rose the third day, and Easter is always on a Sunday. So Domingo literally means the day of the Lord, right? So when you see like Santo Domingo, right, that the country, right, Dominican Republic, right, Santo Domingo, the name of the island, or of that part of the island, is called Holy Day of the Lord, because Santo is like holy or sanctified, right? Or set aside, Santo, right? Or what we see is saint, right? Santo Domingo, or holy or sanctified day of the Lord. That's what that island means. That's the name of that island. So Domingo means day of the Lord, right? Lunes, right, would be from Luna, right, or lunar, right? Lunes, day of the moon. That's the day that, or it was dedicated to the goddess of the moon, right? And we say moon day. Tuesday is martes, right? So that's Mars Day. Wednesday, miércoles. That's Mercury Day, right? We say Wednesday. Now, what they did with the Germanic traditions, all the names of the Roman gods that they put on these different days, what they did is they gave them Germanic names, right? So that's why they sound different than the Latin, but the counterparts are the same. Meaning in the Germanic world, or and I'm gonna pop up that slideshow that I have, so I could give you the exact meaning. So then you got Jueves, viernes. So jueves would be, I believe, Jupiter, right? Jupiter's day. That's Thursday or Thursday. I want to get this right. And you got viernes, which is Venus day, right? Friday. And then you got sábado, right? Or in Germanic, it'll be Saturn day, which is Saturn's day, right? So, but in most of the countries around the world, it's a derivation, is derived from Sabbath day. Sábado literally means Sabbath day, right? So in most of these countries, you will see a similar name for the seventh day, sábado, which is all in turn means the Sabbath day. So from the beginning of time, everybody knew that the seventh day of the week was the day of rest. Everybody knew that. That's why all the names sound similar, because when Noah came out of that ark and when he went into that ark, they had an understanding of what the seventh day was and what the seventh day Shabbat was. Understand what I'm saying? So that's why it was spread throughout the world. And most people identified that there was a day of rest throughout the week. Everybody around the world identified that. It wasn't until the beginning of this first millennium that the church fathers began to question why they should keep the Sabbath day. They was like, this day is boring. We got to eat lukewarm food. We got to eat cold food. We got to do this. All we could do is clap, and we can't do anything. Why don't we make the Lord's day the day of rest, right? And that's when Emperor Constantine and the Council of Nicaea, I believe it was March 321, Common Era, declared that the day of the Lord will be the day of rest, right? And that only the people who worked in the farms and in certain other places could continue to work, because that's the day that is most fertile for them to do certain things. So he said, yeah, we're going to change the Shabbat day from the actual Sabbath to another day, which is the first day of the week, which goes into a bunch of other things. And, it's just a lot, so that's the short end explanation of it. If you need more explanation, just let me know. But I don't really feel like going into explaining any more of it. Let me see. Why isn't Shabbat only once a month if it's the seventh day after the new moon? All right, you talking about that new moon Shabbat. That's the sun, moon, and stars were created on the fourth day. This is that lunar count Shabbat, that whenever the new moon starts, that's when you start beginning to count the days of the week, which that's preposterous, because at some point or the other, the count is going to go off. And then what you're going to have some missing days in between there. What about when you don't see the moon? When do you count? You understand what I'm saying? From the beginning of time, the Most High already gave us a cycle. From the first day to the seventh day, sun, moon, and stars were not created until the the fourth day. So that has no play. And when we start the beginning of the count of the week, it's as clear as day. All right, that's not even something that we fight or we discuss or we have to kill ourselves over. All right, these are just people that try to change that. It says that people will come and change. He said, don't be amazed. You know, because people are going to try to change the times and the seasons. It says Ima Havaret. Shalom, Ima.
Chief, we got trolls. Don't worry yourself about all that.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Right.
Torah, Ima.
I'm closing them down now.
All right. Thank you. Oh, I see a gang of y'all came in here to try to troll me tonight. Y'all don't got nothing better to do with yourselves, huh? I see what's going on. It's all right. You know, you can't have it perfect every week. Thank you, Ima. You can't have it perfect every week. So all y'all y'all need to just chill out. So to my people, thank you all once again. I've been on for a while now. I'm getting tired. And it's going to always happen that way when we have a beautiful time together. So thank you to the Most High God for this day. It's Uziel Lewy. Y'all know that channel, Uziel Lewy. Go over there, subscribe to the channel. Like my name, Uziel Lewy. Or you could also, to find it, you could type in Maozia. It will take you there also. So go there. I did a video yesterday, very informative, about the Old Testament, the contradictions between, you know, the different genealogies. So some of you have heard me do that lesson before, but for the new people, you could go there right now and you could look at that video. I did it last night, so that's good. So thanking the Most High God. Yeah, sometimes people, they just, you know, they collectively say, all right, we're going to go in there and disrupt what they're doing. And the funny thing is that they serve the same God we serve, and they just figured you're going to be a disruptive force when we talking about the Most High and we talking the name of God, and you come and you start throwing stuff and you talking about, I didn't answer a question. I don't understand. The way I understood the question is how I answered it. You know what I'm saying? So these people are just crazy sometimes. But thank you the Most High King for all things and everything. And I thank you all for tuning in with us tonight. And don't forget, we'll be back on tomorrow on the same channel, D.C.B, 11 a.m. Eastern time. So join us. I hope you be here with us, and may the Most High God bless each and every one of you, and may you have a great night's sleep, and we'll see you in the AM. Shalom, shalom.